Hello and welcome to another episode of the All About the Balls Sports podcast. And you join us in a week where it finally is beginning to feel a little bit normal. There's live sport on TV. No more highlights, no more reruns. There's actually live sport. But before we dive into that, let me introduce you to the gang. I am Ollie, and with me tonight are the very, very finest minds who were able to join this conference call. Phil, Gareth, Boise. Stop titting about. Will one of you say hello to everybody at home? How are you, lads? How are you? Are you alert?
Very alert, Ollie. Good. Very alert, mate, actually. Yeah.
Good to hear.
It's all just really dull, isn't it? Now, I'm just bored.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really dull.
I think it's yeah, there's loads of stuff going on.
How can you say it's dull after sitting through Aston Villa 0, Sheffield United 0?
Good point.
It should have been 1.5. Did you get half a point for the goal that was disallowed? No.
Yes.
I thought they were going to allow it at half time when they went, it wasn't working, so can we just go back and retrospectively give a goal?
And there's been a very, very speedy apology by VAR HQ, hasn't it? To say, sorry, what I loved, have you seen it? The excuse basically was there were just too many players in the way. We've done this. We've tested this 9,000 times, and this has never happened before. There's a picture of the goalkeeper in the back of the net with the ball, looking so sheepish. You don't need. There's players in the way. We can all see it.
It's too much. It's just there.
I think the person doing VAR is still on furlough.
yeah. Yes, he's been given the official nod to come back to work.
Do you think they've let the cat out of the bag there, that you can get too many players in the way to stop a goal, and it's now like teams will just be packing the goal line? So that
it's just a strange wall moving
I think
across
it's just
in different patterns.
Defending like you're defending an indirect free kick in the 18-yard box.
So actually, a corner from now on, everyone just lines up on the line and just stands there waiting because VAR it blocks the laser.
Just cover the
ball. I mean, technically, you can stand about a yard behind the line and it's still okay.
Proper social distancing at play.
Yeah, he was closer to the Etihad than anything else. Actually, to be fair, it's just
it was crazy. I mean, just diving straight in, Premier League is back, and that's fantastic. Christ alive. The nicest thing to say about that game was it was one for the purists. Like, that was just dire. Dire.
Wasn't a great start.
12 weeks of lockdown waiting for that.
But to be honest, I'd probably expected that. I mean, it's hardly the mouth-watering opener of the reopening of the season in terms of you got Villa, Sheffield United. It's just bizarre.
That's part of the issue, though, isn't it? With now that every single game is available. That would have been tucked away at 3:00 on a Saturday normally, and 9th or 10th on Match of the Day with a 3-minute highlight package, and no one would have had to worry about it. But because
basically every Brighton game,
but because everyone's so desperate for it, and every game is going to be back now. Did little bit breaking news there.
Sorry, my watch has just given me some Brighton updates. So, yes, that you were right. They are very, very normally 9th or 10th on Match of the Day. So carry on. Sorry about that.
We're getting an insight from Siri. It's good. But every game's available. I think we're probably about 12 weeks since having football, and maybe 12 days away from getting bored of it.
12 minutes in, everyone went, oh, right, is this what we've been waiting for, this whole situation?
Well, that's it. It's going to take about a week for Liverpool to have won the league, which is the sort of main thing left to go. And then there'll be about 80% of games that don't really mean anything. But, hey, it's back.
We're in the hunt. United's in the hunt for the top four, so that will... And I'm going to watch Brighton slowly slip to relegation and down to the Championship.
Do you think they'll go down?
I mean, it certainly gives you.
But I've ordered my cutouts. I've ordered my cutouts.
You actually?
No, of course not.
Can we order one for you? I mean, I'm happy to chip in. If we could actually get one of Gareth, that'd be amazing.
Would it be a bit cheeky to do a GoFundMe page
for 20 quid?
I think we should combine the options that we've seen from around the world and order a cutout of a sex doll to go.
A furry
that
toy
is a
sex
genius
doll.
idea. Should we test the quality control at Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club and just order that? I mean, that's 20 quid well spent if that gets on, because that'll make it onto at least fifth on Match of the Day. Then
how many are you allowed to order? Just one? Is it like one per?
I think you can have as many as you want.
Oh, that would be awesome.
What's your oyster?
That would be awesome. I think we could come up. We should come up with. When does the cut-off deadline? Are they doing them like new each week or something like that? Like, can we?
I mean, I can't see them being inundated, so I'm sure we're okay. I'm sure we can get our orders in.
Yes, right. That is it.
Even diehard fans must be thinking that's a bit ridiculous. Sorry,
but I would love to get us on there. That'd be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So,
and arguably, I think, and this is prepare yourselves for a seamless segue, lads. So brace yourselves. But arguably, that cutout would still be on the be more effective than David Luiz in defence, as he is proving tonight against Man City.
Well, like David Luiz, the cutout would currently be sitting in the stands. So.
Yes, I still don't get the whole policies and procedures of this whole coming back to football. They're sitting in the stands, they're sitting in different places, but then they don't shake hands, but then they wear masks, but they've all been tested so they can grapple in the box. It makes no sense. I don't understand it. It's just, the whole thing is just bonkers to me.
It's consistent with the inconsistencies in everyday life, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's the sporting equivalent of being able to go and queue up for a pair of Harry Potter pyjamas in Primark, but not be able to give your mum a hug.
Yeah.
Unless she's holding the Harry Potter pyjamas.
Yeah, if your mum works in Primark, then your quid's in.
I think there were 2 quids actually. Yeah.
But okay,
it is. Yeah, you're right. It's just inconsistently consistent. So
this is the question that I wanted to kick off with tonight. Of course, it's great to see live sport back. It is all a bit weird. It is a little bit inconsistent in terms of sort of the isolating and the quarantine rules and all that kind of stuff. But does any of it actually matter? Like you say, Liverpool are looking to wrap up winning their first Premier League title. There'll be the relegation battle. Does any of it actually matter? Is this season going to go down with a massive asterisk in bold? COVID-19, like actually that didn't really count, or does this still matter?
I think it definitely matters. I was thinking about this beforehand, and I can't believe there was discussions about not finishing the season. Certainly for the Premier League, I don't understand why they wouldn't. Why not just delay the end like they have and get it back? I think it's a good thing. Lower leagues, I can understand.
What's the difference?
Isn't it the financial aspect? So the lower leagues playing behind closed doors, there's a huge financial loss there, but they're still having to pay the players. So that was the only reason I could think of for them, where there's the money aspect and the TV aspect in the higher leagues. But
so is that the reason you're saying why they definitely were right to bring the Premier League back, because of the money side of it?
Yeah, but I also think it's best to bring sport back as quickly as possible and as quickly as feasibly possible. So this is all completely ridiculous.
But only sport that makes money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, does it matter, you asked? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, does any of it matter? But that's a different question.
Well,
Jurgen Klopp's
for this
quote, and I'm not just going Klopp because of Liverpool, but I think Jurgen Klopp's quote is something along the lines of all the things that don't matter, football matters the most. In life,
Yeah.
That was, and you insert your own favourite sport there, or insert sport there, because in the grand scheme of things, in the world that we're living in at the moment, there's definitely a question as to whether this is the most important thing when people still can't see their families, right? And people are still being affected by this disease, but of all the things that are inconsequential in some regards, I think sport coming back does have a huge part to play in people's own sort of well-being and happiness. Sport brings people together in a way that nothing else really does.
I think true. But can it still have that? Can it still have the big enough of an impact in a socially distanced world?
But what are you doing tonight? What's on your telly tonight?
Flirty.
What are you wearing?
No, you hang up.
No.
Yeah, but that's a good point. For the last 3 hours, my TV's had football on. Well, loose football, the first game. The real football now.
But when you say the sport brings people together, we were doing the show, not necessarily well, but we were doing the show like during lockdown. There wasn't any sport on, but we were doing it, and we'd have, if the lockdown had continued and the shutout had continued, we'd have continued recording, despite the fact that many people asked us to stop.
And what did we say every week? When's sport coming back? God, this is awful without sport. I miss sport so much.
Sports back. Why do we need sports?
Why are we just shouting cock or ball?
Do you know what I miss? I miss the quizzes that you bring, Phil. Although yours was excellent. I miss the quizzes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then maybe there'll be a time when people do say, let's just stop sport again and bring back the quizzes. But I think, I'm with Ian here. I don't think there'll be any kind of asterisk. I think this is the fact that a handful of games are going to be played behind closed doors. Yeah. It will be different. People will remember it in a different way. But no, for me, enough of the season's been played. Yeah. If we were 6 games into the season, I think you'd can it. I don't know where that tipping point is, but I think we're beyond the tipping point of saying actually it is really important that this season finishes.
Speaking from a, I was obviously joking aside for ages, saying I don't want the season to finish because of Liverpool winning the league, but the reality is, you're right, we passed the tipping point. I think halfway. I think when you turn the corner and you go in the other direction in terms of fixtures, you've got to finish what's been started. The only thing I'm going to say is that the rules have changed. They've got different subs now. It's just, that's the only thing. It's ridiculous. VAR doesn't work. I still think they should play the season, but no one should win.
Everyone's winners.
I think football's the real winner. Football's the real winner.
So do you think? Because I think Phil makes a good point there. That actually there is something about the fact. Just taking the Premier League as an example, the fact that we are so far through the season, and the fact that Liverpool are so far ahead and have been so much the dominant team all season. When Liverpool win the trophy, it does feel like that is unquestionable. Like that, it's not like, oh well, you won because actually of the Duckworth-Lewis rule or something like that. It's like, no, you were by far and away the best team in that season, in the 1920 season, and you deserve the title. Do you think any of the players will feel any different? Will they feel at all like, oh, kind of wish we'd won it in a normal season?
See, I actually think the Liverpool thing's a red herring. I think it wouldn't. I think the same argument would apply if 3 teams had been level on the same number of points at the top.
Really?
I think the idea, but I think this idea that's being peddled by Man City and Man United fans that the only reason the football's coming back is so Liverpool are being allowed to win the league. It's ridiculous. There is more to the league than just who the champions are. And I don't think there's any aspect of this which is being done just so Liverpool get their league title. It's being done to finish who wins the league. Okay, that one is pretty much wrapped up. But if it's all about money, finishing in the top four is what it's all about. It actually, yes, obviously the fans of the team who win the league are going to be really happy, but finishing the top four is important. Other teams getting into Europe is important. Deciding who goes down is important. I really think the Liverpool thing is a red herring on that.
So
yeah, but it's a good way. It's a good way to manage everyone's expectations who aren't Liverpool fans, isn't it? United go, we don't finish fourth, doesn't matter. Oh, it was a weird season, that's why. So it's all. You're right. It's
been a weird few seasons, hasn't it?
Seven.
So what would happen if? How long is the season set to last now? How quickly are they looking to finish the games? I think it's like 3 or 4 weeks, isn't it? So what would happen if there was an outbreak within the Liverpool team that meant 4 or 5 of their players were out for over the next 4 weeks? So they were severely depleted for the rest of the season, and they lost all their games.
Jurgen Klopp coming on centre half.
So what? And City ended up taking the title.
Yeah, they lost the title because Liverpool
of COVID virus.
Because of COVID.
Is even their reserves surely could get...
Yeah. But I think that's the... Because that could happen to any team, and then any team argue the toss. I'd still think the Liverpool thing is... if you gave a Liverpool fan the choice of the season being null and void or that being a possibility...
Yeah.
They'd all take that, right?
Yeah. How much would you call
it? And if it happens...
It would be amazing.
That would be phenomenal. Just this track and trace. The NHS are turning up saying, all of you have been in contact, can you all... And the under-9s having to turn up for the Premier League games or something.
Desperately trying to scrap a draw in Norwich or something like that.
I'll tell you what, they probably still fancy the point against Brighton, at least. The under-9s. The development squad could probably still... I don't know why I'm bashing Brighton so much tonight.
Hey, you've really turned.
I manage my expectations because it's a red herring. But it does matter. Of course, it matters.
And I guess the Premier League is different to some of the other leagues because it is keeping the structure. It is playing out the rest of the season. It's not changing anything about. There are some other competitions that are changing their structure for the remainder of their season. So I think Super Rugby, for example, I think it's kind of like pretty much just cancelled the season, and it's actually now playing localised tournaments like just the Kiwis are playing their Kiwi sides in a round robin and that kind of stuff.
Well, there's 2 cases of coronavirus in New Zealand now.
Yes, they were
brought in by the Brits.
Brits on tour, fantastic.
So
but yes,
coming to watch the Super Rugby. They've got full crowds and everything.
Yeah, they're like 35,000, I think, at Eden Park or something.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it and thought, wow, their cutouts are impressive.
Bloody hell.
One of them looks exactly like a moving sexton.
The best kind.
Expensive.
You pay extra, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, a massive Maori sex doll.
For that cutout. So... but yeah, so I mean, did you watch the Super Rugby, Ollie? Because you are big.
I loved it.
You're the rugby.
Loved it. Although I got my time zones completely wrong, and so woke up at like 4 a.m. and it didn't start till 8 a.m. or something like that. So I was a little bit tired and cranky over the weekend. Right. But it was so good, man. So good seeing rugby again. Very, very happy. Did you see?
They're annoyingly good, aren't they? Those New Zealand Super Rugby teams.
Yeah. It's kind of.
You just watch it and go, it's ridiculous.
It is a little bit like... You can see the rugby teams also being quite happy they don't have to put up with these like Australian and South African teams coming over and just being a bit of a painful experience. Like, should we get to play proper teams this week? That's awesome. Like, a really hard game. But yeah, they were good. Did you see...
Total rugby versus just the South Africans breaking it all down and Aussies just being Australian themselves.
Yeah. Did you see...
No, it'd be good when, British rugby's probably another 6 weeks away or something from coming back. It'd be good because there's bits of the game in Super Rugby that obviously some of the attacking stuff is amazing, but then in the British game you get tackling.
It's not touch rugby.
So it'd be good to see. Yeah, exactly. It'd be good to see a bit of all the skills.
Yes, you're right.
Set pieces and things like that. Yeah.
So,
just tap and go.
have you still got your Quinn season ticket?
No, I've got children. So sadly, those two things.
Do you remember the good old days when you were able to do stuff without any issues?
Yeah.
It was fun.
I mean, in many ways, having children is just like a lifetime of lockdown from all of the good stuff that you used to be able to do.
You can just see it, but you can't touch it.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's get a bit negative here, lads. But,
Come on.
No, the rugby was good. And you mentioned earlier actually about Bowden Barrett because he's moved from the Hurricanes to the Blues. And so when the Hurricanes scored their opening try, Bowden Barrett was like trying to tackle the guy who went over the line to score, and so he got caught up in the middle of the celebrations. And the Canes players, they were all tapping him on the head, going, "Yeah, Bodie."
He was cracking up.
I was going to say, that was the best bit of it, wasn't it? That he just laughed his way out of it, because he could have got pretty annoyed with it. But
it then made me think of in other contexts. That's why rugby does have a different dynamic in as much as it's very physical. Obviously, everything goes on, but there is a real community feel about the whole sport, really. Even when they're punching each other, they'll be mates afterwards, and this it's just that's what it is. But Barrett's just cracking up in the middle of the thing. It did make me then think, if that was in another sport, i.e., when Rooney left Everton, and imagine them just getting right in the celebration, and Rooney having been caught up running into the corner flag and trying to do something, just random weird guys who switch teams being caught up in the celebration.
Wouldn't work, man. Wouldn't work.
No.
And Dan Carter's back.
Yes. Yeah, he's still on the hunt.
As water boy, but
most expensive water boy ever.
How old is he now?
Oh, that's a Wikipedia question. Let's have a look.
Google it.
Dan Carter. Any guesses?
39?
37.
38.
Yeah.
Are we doing a quiz? It's a quiz. We've got the quiz on.
We're descending.
1 point for Dan Carter's age.
The quizzes now are literally just ask your own questions and we'll Wikipedia it. Yeah, he's 38.
Good. Ian back in the hunt after last week's ridiculous display. And we'll end the quiz there. Well done, Ian. You are good.
He picks up another win. Yeah, Dan Carter's gone over.
Gareth.
I think France has shut down their rugby for the rest of the season or something like that. But the Blues had was it Tana Umaga and Dan Carter as water boys, over 200 All Black caps between them. Two of the most successful, talented players ever to play the game, carrying the water bottles. Absolutely insane.
Hey,
absolutely insane.
That's their whole ethos, isn't it? No one's bigger than the game. They all clean the sheds, apparently.
Yeah, what a load of bullshit that is.
Incorrect. What they're very good at is very occasionally getting photographed cleaning up after themselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's how all that starts, doesn't it? So,
controversial.
Yes, it is controversial, but very true. So yeah, it was good. Super Rugby was good. The golf was entertaining.
Yes. Anyone see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Bryson DeChambeau's bulk up. What's happened there?
The highlights of that for me, though, they clipped to Rich Beam, who's obviously normally on Sky Golf, but he was tucked away in Texas or wherever he's from in America, and they were talking about DeChambeau's bulk upload, and he went, yeah, but he's still got a jiggly belly, so. He said he's not got a six pack. He's still got a jiggly belly. Yeah, but he's Bryson. Just the biceps. That's all he is. It's so funny. Well, his arms are so big he can't putt properly now.
I've got that problem. Yeah, that's why my putt.
He's got the weirdest putting action. It just looks.
But what did he average in the first round? Was it 345 yards off the tee?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think I read that. He basically on almost every hole. I think it was 14 or 15 out of 18 holes. He was sand wedge or lower with his second shot, including par fives.
Jesus.
He's just smashing it so far. He's got nothing. It's just... And there's a couple of players, or former players, Colin Montgomery was one of them, but there's been a couple of others talking about trying to introduce a tournament ball.
Yes.
So one that doesn't that only travels 85% of the distance of a normal ball, or something like that, just to try and...
I've got that problem.
Yeah.
Constantly playing.
We're looking for the 120% balls.
It's a new round. Round in Cockle
Is that
Ball.
doable?
I think, well, they've got to do something, haven't they? Because it's just ridiculous. You can't keep making golf courses longer.
No, you run out of space.
And it's taking a load of the different skills out of the game. If all someone's got to do is smash it and then just stick a little sand wedge in.
Although I did see the email I sent through bounce back about the disappearing ball. So
did they...
on the 18th, so bounce back. So I've obviously got the wrong bloody email address. I'll resend that this week.
What? So what our idea about the disappearing ball gets just put into spam, but Colin Montgomery comes up with let's change the entire ball. That apparently gets headline
I could have sworn
conspiracy.
I could have sworn ideas at pgatour.com would definitely work, but apparently that's just a smokescreen for their own plans. But what they could do is just say you can only use your driver a certain amount of holes on the course. So you're each limited to 4 holes that you can hit a driver. So you have to hit a 3-wood or an iron or a hybrid.
Well, so there was.
Deschambault was still hitting about 300 metres for a 7-iron.
Well, there's a story, wasn't it, where... two things. First of all, just to put it in context, Phil saying he averaged 345 yards off the tee. The tour average for 2019 was 294 yards. So he's 50 yards above the rest of the tour. That is absolutely insane. But he was saying that all of his clubs, all of his...
He has them cut to all the same length. He's got
the same length. All
the same length shaft.
The same length.
Who had 27 minutes before the word shaft was mentioned?
Yeah, I'll take... Yeah, I'm so annoyed. I went for 42 minutes as bloody always.
I'm going to segue.
Trying to take his ball power away.
I've got a segue for us. I'm going to move on from shafts, and I want to talk about Willie.
Oh,
yes. Excellent
so we lost a sporting hero today. Sadly, Willie Thorne died, and I think obviously one of the snooker greats. There's just a couple of things I wanted to talk about Willie Thorne because he was. I think one thing that came out straight away was just the amount of love that's kind of poured out from him from a sport like snooker, which is a bit of a, obviously some people will view it as a bit of a pub game or not a proper sport. From across the sporting landscape, the number of people on social media, from football, from golf, obviously from within snooker, from within broadcasting, from within entertainment, that have just come out and said how sad they are, what a lovely guy he was. He was sort of just one of those people that was genuinely regarded as just one of the nice guys. And two things that I always make me laugh about Willie Thorne. One is when he was in a studio with Steve Davis, I think it was, and they did and they came up and it said Steve Davis, 6 times world snooker champion, and then Willie Thorne, former world number 7. Bless him. I'd have gone with 1985 Mercantile Credit Classic winner, but you can't choose your script writers. But the second one was he was although he didn't do it massively in tournament play, he was known as Mr. Maximum because of the number of 147s he scored in training and in practice and in sort of exhibitions. He was just famed for that. And this, I don't know how many people know this, but he actually launched he had a range of boxer shorts called Mr. Maximum.
Did he really?
So you could buy Willie Thorne Mr. Maximum boxer shorts, and I don't know, I can't say whether they're still available to buy today, but I hope if they are, that they've had a little peak in sales today. Yeah. Certainly my Mr. Maximum boxer shorts have been flying at half-mast today in his honour. So
thank God you're still working from home.
That was an excellent tribute.
It really was.
Yes.
And
Well done, Phil.
there was one thing that he seemed to it was almost like Colin Montgomery, like you talk about, one of the best players never to win some of the majors and stuff. Like you say, he was such a talented player, and he comes across as like being such a funny, loved guy, exactly like you say, Phil. But just never was able to compete on the top stage with Davis or Hendry or things like that. But yeah, like you say, the tweets that you see, the messages from all across, not just the sporting world, but just like sort of the whole sort of entertainment business. Well, like, such a loved guy. So, and just like I say, just some really amazing stories about him. Some of them a bit sad, when it hit his gambling addiction, things like that. But there was one I was reading about where he'd put 38 grand on John Parrott losing a game because he lost his cue. So this was a niche bet, and he was actually commentating on that match. And so he's been telling this story afterwards, how he was having to commentate on this, as John Parrott not only didn't lose, he won, but he had his cue. And I think that the
just him sneaking down, trying to hide it,
nicking it over the back ball. But and he married a Miss Great Britain.
I mean, a man that looked like Willie Thorne marrying a Miss Great Britain is just, I think that's testament to his personality.
Yeah. Well, Jill Saxby.
You make some good decisions, you make some bad decisions. That was a good one.
Yeah.
He's done stuff. Yeah, so big.
That's a very niche bet, isn't it?
That's a niche
Sorry.
bet.
But I can't really go past
we've
that.
all had those
that
kind of
is
moments.
very
That
niche.
is pretty niche. But yeah, definitely. And obviously, what was he? He was part of the. What was the group of them? There was him. There was
the Matchroom Mob.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, the old Snooker Loopy song, and old Willie Thorne, his hair's all gone. And with Chaz and Dave, and now dear old Willie, now he's gone. But sad times.
Sad.
I like the tribute parts of the show.
Well, it's turned into the sort of in memoriam section of Sports Personality of the Year, hasn't it? Maybe we should move on.
Exactly like that.
Very similar. Very
Nailed it. Broadcasting gold, this is. Broadcasting gold.
Submit that one for podcast award. But one other thing we want to talk about. We want to talk about some cricket as well, because the England training group for the West Indies series has been announced today. And there's a couple of interesting ins there. No Rory Burns, Gareth. You see that? No, he is.
Obviously, this is tactical.
No, he is there. But so is Moeen Ali's back in.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good to see.
Yeah.
Moeen Ali's back in.
Yeah.
The Jet.
Happy with that.
A fan of the show. Big
Yes.
Keats.
I'll send him a message later.
It's interesting. You sort of say there's a few new names. You go, well, that's interesting, isn't it? And then you think it's a 30-man squad for 11 of them to get a game in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the periphery there. I mean, it's good to see some different names in there, and obviously giving some experience to some of the newer or younger guys. But I can't imagine it will be too far different from the team that finished the South Africa series that starts up in the summer.
So, question here for all of you: who do you pick as starting keeper? Because Bairstow's come out in the press and said he wants the gloves back. Folks is in.
He always does that, doesn't he?
He always. Yeah, well,
He also wants to open the bowling, I reckon.
Yeah.
If you asked him. You want Bairstow, go.
I know Bairstow got called up in South Africa, didn't he? But for me, he's of the three, Folkes, Butler, Bairstow, he's the furthest off. I don't think should be in the reckoning. I think it's
with the gloves or to play,
or both. I wouldn't put Bairstow in as a batsman alone. But
well, not at the moment. Anyway, he's been a really good batsman, for England, hasn't he? But just at the moment, he's not shown any form.
And it's I mean, we say at the moment, but it's like his last 30 innings, so it's over a few seasons. But I think in that team, I want to say Folkes should be in, but I think Butler's probably the right decision at the moment for his batting.
I think they should pick Folkes and Wokes and Stokes. Just
because they all good blokes. This is now the Dr. Zeus section of the podcast.
I guess it's that age-old thing, or maybe not age-old, but certainly the last few seasons or last few years in all cricket. Do you pick the best wicket keeper, or do you pick the best person who balances the team? And Folkes, there's no question, is the best keeper. Yeah. But Butler gives you that X factor, and he probably hasn't done it as much in Test match cricket as they would have wanted him to when they brought him back. But it's just knowing that he might that still feels like it's enough. And he's actually improved his keeping. He's not a liability as a wicket keeper now, is he?
No.
I think. I think it should be the same. Yeah. I think the same theory should be applied around in other sports in terms of that you pick against who you play. And I think because they're playing the West Indies, I'd pick Butler because I think he's probably less likely to be exposed in theory, in batting, and he'll be more impactful in that game. If you're playing against Australia, you've got a good pace attack. It's maybe you think about it differently or whatever, but I would definitely pick Butler for it.
Well, maybe where you're playing as well. I think there's a real argument, like they did with Jennings. I don't think Jennings. Sorry if you're listening, Keaton, but I don't think Jennings should be close to getting back into the squad to play the West Indies at home. But he's got a really good record of playing spin in the subcontinent. So if you went and played in India or Sri Lanka, then maybe you'd consider Jennings. And I think the same, that actually in the subcontinent, if England were going to pick 2 or 3 spinners on really difficult pitches to keep wicket on, I'd probably rather have Folkes keeping wicket.
Yeah.
But if it's, at the Ageas Bowl and at Old Trafford, and generally probably 4 seamers or maybe 5 seamers playing, there's less of a requirement to have the best gloveman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's right.
But it's funny, isn't it, how that happens with bowlers. They pick bowlers based on the conditions and where you play them. They tend not to change batsmen and wicket keepers for the same reason.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a historical thing or there seems to be this argument that batsmen need time and they need a good run of games to get him. I don't know why that doesn't apply to bowlers, that you chop and change the bowlers more. But
see, I think I personally I'd go with Folkes, and I love Jos Buttler, probably a little bit too much, but I don't think he's delivered in the way at Test level with the bat as he has done in other forms of the game. And I think you've got other players who can be explosive in that middle order, like obviously Stokes can, but Folkes as well. Folkes is not just the better keeper; he's also a really strong batsman. Like, I know he's only played a few games. Was it five matches, 10 innings? But he's averaging over 40 with the time that he's been given, whereas Butler in the low 30s. I don't think Butler gives you the runs that actually people assume he does, and he's not as good with the gloves.
The biggest problem with Folkes was when he got into the team, he obviously scored runs and did well. He then came back and, they picked Butler again. But Folkes didn't have a good season for Surrey last year. I think he averaged about 27 in the Championship. And it would have made his case a lot stronger if he'd averaged, he averaged 40 for England. If he'd averaged 40, 45 for Surrey, scored a load of runs and been knocking on the door going, not only am I the best keeper, I could also be a better batsman. Butler's got an international pedigree, and he's in. He's got the gloves, he's got the position. He needs someone to come and really barge him out of the way. And I just don't think Folkes' form with the bat for Surrey last year was quite enough to do that. But
one of those ones where it's harder to lose the shirt once you've actually got it.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. Because we all remember the days of English cricket where it was bloody using 35 players in a series, and you see there's a long list of people who've played 2 tests for England, something like that. Actually, so to have a set established team is not a bad thing at all. I just feel folks have been hard done by. I think folks deserves more time.
I think the more exciting question is the pace lineup, the seamers. Which seamers do you pick?
Ooh. Well, we've got chairman of selectors. Phil,
so you've got a choice of Anderson, Broad, Wood, Archer, and Wokes, and Curran. They're your 6 seamers. And
you rest.
Is everyone fit?
You rest
everyone's
Jimmy.
Fit, yeah.
One of them's carrying an eagle. Yeah, they're all fit.
I saw Jofra tweeting this afternoon that he's had his latest scan result back and he's
fit,
fully healed.
Yeah.
So that is exciting. Yeah, I agree. And I think, who would you pick? Who's your first pick?
Where's the opener?
Southampton.
The Ageas Bowl.
Ageas Bowl. I don't know why I asked that. There's no bearing on my... I just wanted to sound like I was going to think about it.
So that was, for a moment, I was expecting some proper... Oh, right, so it's a little bit of a westerly.
Due to the wind and track conditions. Archer, Anderson, Wood, Broad.
It's tough, isn't it?
That's it. I'm doing 4.
I think you rest Jimmy. I think you wrap him in cotton wool. For
who? Sorry,
Jimmy. What have you got against Jimmy Anderson?
No.
What are you wrapping him in cotton wool for? He's about. Why are you wrapping him in cotton wool? What for?
Because he's old, and he's.
So why not get as much cricket out of him now?
He's vulnerable.
Is he shielding? Have we checked?
He's had the letter. He's had the cricket letter.
No. I think the bigger, more important series is coming up down the line that we protect Jimmy for.
See, I'd counter argue that with the fact that after a career where he's basically never been injured. In the last year or so, he started picking up injuries. So I'd get every game out of him now that you can. Really?
You don't arrest him. You don't arrest him. He pulls up at the first game of a big series, first session. It's game over anyway.
Exactly. I'd if he's fit, play him. And I also think that the West Indies batting is pretty fragile, and if Jimmy's on form, he could bowl him out very quickly.
He won't be bowling for that long.
But interesting to see Archer against them because they should grow up with facing not just for Archers that level, but they probably a schoolboy and coming through the ranks there. They face quick.
Well, they've got quite a good
bowlers.
pace attack now, haven't they? I think it will be interesting.
I think quite good.
I agree with you, actually, Gareth. I would pick Anderson, Broad, Wood, and Jofra. But it does. You have got a slightly long tail there. That would be the only thing.
Have you got Wokes in that team as an all-rounder?
No.
Right. So you got Stokes as your fifth seam.
Yeah.
And you got Leach in there at all, or Ali?
No, not at the moment.
See,
maybe would
just all pace all the time.
So you got 4 seamers.
Root. Yeah.
5 seamers.
Five with Stokes.
I've got Root.
So Root's your spinner.
To turn the arm over.
I might have Moeen in there.
A bit harsh on
He might be my little wild card.
So which batsman are you dropping if you've gone for Moeen? On the basis you've gone for Butler as your keeper, so you've got 5 batsmen.
I'm dropping.
This was a 2 weeks time agenda, by the way. Just know we're doing a selection
ourselves.
meeting in 2 weeks, but it's okay.
I mean, you make a good point. Who would you leave if you could only pick 3 of the seamers? Then who are you picking? Because I agree that you're probably right that if to get Moeen in, you've got to leave a batsman out. You don't want to do that. Yeah.
Who you got? You asked the question, Boise. Who are you going for?
I don't know. It's too difficult. I think
I'd love if this was a real selection.
Do it really quickly. Then. The top 2. Are you dropping Denley and your top 3 in whatever order are Burns, Crawley, and Sibley?
Yes.
Everyone in favour say aye.
Hang on. So go on then. Burns, Crawley and Sibley.
Yeah.
Root at 4, Stokes at 5, Pope at 6, Butler at 7, 4 bowlers.
So
Do you play Archer, Wood, Anderson, and Broad in the same match, or do you split them up and alternate them in some kind of style throughout the series?
I mean, you probably wouldn't play Archer and Wood given their fitness issues, aren't they? They're both. Archer hasn't played for ages. Wood is liable to break down. I think Broad is always really harshly treated by. He always seems to be the one that people say, "Oh, maybe we should get rid of Broad. He's getting on a bit," but he still delivers.
Yeah. So
I think they should alternate between Broad and Anderson in terms of fitness wise. I know they work well as a pair.
All right, Michael Vaughan.
But I think as they.
Why is that?
It's a bit spicy.
Why would you
it's a bit spicy.
It's a bit spicy. We're not doing that. Why would you split them up?
I just, from a fitness level and wrapping them in cotton.
I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard.
Really?
In the same way of why you wouldn't drop Jimmy for that reason, you do the same with Broad.
Them as Jimmy, you're protecting Jimmy.
But resting him then. You're not playing him.
But dropping him's like, no, you're not good enough. It's a form thing. But resting him like you're almost too good. You're too important, Jimmy.
That's a millennial fucking phrase. Isn't it?
Exactly. Look, you're too important to pick.
It's the one that I was made redundant because I was the best person in the company. Right. Yeah,
I'm down with the kids. I'm down with the kids. Hang on, but actually, one thing that we have spoken about before, which I think does make sense, is that I can see there'll be benefits of splitting up Anderson and Broad. Or like having Anderson and Broad with Wood for a match, Anderson and Broad with Archer for a match. So that you've then got the experience in the. I know that. I mean, Wood isn't exactly like young, but he still hasn't established himself as a permanent member of the bowling attack. Archer is young and learning Test level cricket. So having Jimmy and Jimmy and Stuart Broad together as a bit of a coaching pair as well in a game, I can see being beneficial. And then you split up Archer and Wood.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I think
that's the way I'd work.
And
make the most of that.
If one of Anderson and Broad
to pass that on to.
And if one of Anderson and Broad isn't fit, you probably pick Wokes over them. They're similar types of bowler, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You can see a time in a couple of years' time, it might even be quicker than that, where your first pick of the 4 that you've just said are Archer, Wood, Wokes and Curran.
Yeah.
Because once Jimmy and... I just think you've got to get as much out of Jimmy and Broad now. Okay. Because we haven't got them for long.
Yeah.
Play them in every game they've got. This idea of wrapping them up doesn't work for me as chairman of selectors.
Okay, so can you bring that to the full meeting tomorrow and then we can address it if that's right. So in 2 weeks' time we're going to give you our full selection.
Yes.
Even though we've pretty much done it.
Yeah.
So
we are. One last thing, and before we wrap up, there was, and apologies, I can't remember who tweeted this, but there was a really good tweet out there in the cesspit that is Twitter, where they're talking about the ultimate cricket bucket list, and it had some amazing things on there. And I wanted to run it past you guys and see which ones we've already ticked off as a team. So, starting in no particular order, have you watched a Test match at Leeds? This is your cricket bucket list. Have you watched a Test match at Lords? Not Leeds. I mean, Leeds is great, but a Test match. Have you watched it?
Just at least one day. Is that right?
One full day at Lords.
Yeah. Yes. Not the whole Test match. Yes.
Strong. Who's it against?
Australia.
Nice.
I've been to a few, 3 or 4, I think, probably.
And the West Indies, I've been to.
Ian, we were there. We were there on the day that Mike Atherton had dirt in his pocket.
Yeah. Was that South Africa?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think I've seen India there.
Yeah.
I was there when Rob Key scored the big 100.
221 against West Indies.
Yeah. I was there. corporate box.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Right,
Drop that out there.
Next question. Have you played on an overseas tour? Cricket tour?
No.
Dorset. Does Dorset count?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I've been interprovincial in South Africa. Does that count? It feels like a different country.
I have.
Certain parts there.
I managed to get on a tour when I was at school when we went to Barbados. And we were.
Oh, he's dropped that out. He's dropped that.
We were. This kind of ticks off another question later on, but we were the first 11, so we're 18 years old, and we were playing like the Barbados under 15s, and they kicked the living shit out of us. Absolutely destroyed.
The Colts. We lost to the Colts.
And you won. Anyway.
Yeah. So we've ticked another one.
So this one's got the question was. So this is from Sixes and Wickets, which is a great bunch of guys.
Doesn't even make sense.
But have you attended the Boxing Day test at Newlands? Now it says Newlands. Does Newlands do a big Boxing Day test?
No, Newlands is New Year's Eve.
Right.
Sorry, New Year's Day.
Okay, so there you go. So the Boxing Day test.
The question there was attend the Boxing Day year at Newlands.
So the Boxing Day test is at MCG.
There's no cricket. It's New Year's.
Yeah, so the New Year's test
match
is at Newlands and the SCG. There's one there as well. So has anyone done the Newlands one?
No.
Has anyone done the Boxing Day test at the MCG? Yes.
No.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a big one.
That's a bucket list, isn't it?
But so
yeah, that's a big
another story. Yeah.
Didn't you miss it? Didn't you give up the tickets?
Yes. So this question, this one I've done because I did go the year after when they played India, when Australia played India at the MCG, and I saw them. I saw them play there. I saw Sachin Tendulkar, as Trump would say. But I did also have tickets for England, Australia, Boxing Day test, MCG, the series where we absolutely skittled them out. Had 4 tickets and had to give them away because my partner at the time decided we needed to go up to see her family up on the Gold Coast instead. That relationship
was it day one? Was it the 98 all out followed by England being 120 for none at the end or whatever?
It was one of the most
perfect
day's cricket.
Dull.
Yeah.
Dull sounds like.
Anyway,
I'm sure the Gold Coast with your.
yeah.
Have you scored a ton? Next question. Have you scored a ton?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. What's the highest level we've got? What's the highest grade that we've got a ton at then as a show? Because mine was like village cricket kind of level.
A ton's a ton, Ollie. I don't think.
You can only score what's in front of you, right? Anyway, moving on.
Tour of the Caribbean.
In the garden. My tongue was in the garden.
Listen, Jamie is a tricky bowler for a 6-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he bowls a mean off break. I'll tell you that much.
And that one bounce rule is nasty as well.
Tour of the Caribbean.
Is that on an England tour, or is that?
Yeah, maybe with the Barmy Army or something like that. Like that would be amazing.
I love that you're thinking we're like a P&O cruise or something.
I thought you meant as a player. I wasn't selected, but
have you ever done the Caribbean cruise with the P&O? It's excellent, by the way.
I was in the 30-man training squad, but I didn't make the final cut.
Because I think that would be on a bucket list to go and see an England tour in the Caribbean.
100%.
Yeah,
potentially. So I was thinking about this. I think Australia, an Ashes tour in Australia, would be number one. Then probably the Caribbean too.
Just so you know, there's rumours of going to Australia for the next Ashes. Is it 2021?
Yeah.
So there's rumours I might be going to that. So if anyone could jump on that bandwagon,
that's exciting news.
We're going down under.
Really?
Face mask, obviously. We're going down under.
On the chin rest. Yeah.
Can you ask me this question when I've done that?
We'll come back.
That would be better.
We'll come back in 18 months' time.
Have you just opened another beer?
Of course,
You legend.
Thank you.
You absolute legend.
Going deep on a school night.
There's plenty more left in this podcast.
Yeah. Hold tight. Has anyone sat with the Barmy Army?
No.
No.
Have you?
Would you, if you were on an overseas tour, would you, or would you choose to go and sit somewhere else?
I'd like to give it a go.
For what period of time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might sit with them for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
One beer. I'd give it one beer.
And then go and sit somewhere a little bit
You
quieter.
sit there for the Mexican wave, wouldn't you? And then go. So.
You do love a Mexican
wave in the Caribbean. Shirts off.
Sunburn
Lobstered.
everywhere.
And then you move on. I'd do one beer with them.
Has anyone seen an IPL game live? I assume that means like not live on TV, like actually.
Yes, on ITV4.
Whilst on my P&O cruise, I watched an IPL game.
Ticky-leader. Has anyone taken?
No, I've never been to.
No. So. Has anyone taken a hat trick?
Yes.
Boise.
Me too.
Oh, Boise and Phil got the ton and a hat trick.
I would have, but I was never allowed to bowl at club cricket level in this country.
That's racist. That's racist. All live.
Yeah.
I was there for Ian's. It was one for the.
Talk us through it.
Yeah, talk us through it. Ian.
I think it was 2.
Was a left footer, right footer header? Is that what you
two LBWs and a bowled.
Oh,
so,
it's good.
Was the bowl the hat trick ball?
No, an LBW which Phil will query. I don't know how he can query it from Gully where he was. It's terrible.
I think the umpire fancied you. That was why I queried.
Well, got the hat trick. So
take what you can get.
I'm sure.
Exactly. Look, it doesn't matter what level you score the 100 or how you get the hat trick. They all count.
Do you think at all that the umpire felt a little bit of pressure, like to give the hat trick?
Well, even if he did, that's good appealing from the team. So,
apart from Phil at Gully.
Ian, was it out? Let's be honest. That last one. Let's real honesty.
100% out.
Do you think the batsman would have given it behind?
Yeah.
It's reviewed.
They would have out of desperation, but were like at best umpires call. So
right.
At best.
For the batsman.
For him.
Mine was slightly less traditional. Mine was on a Sunday afternoon game, and I came on to bowl just to try and I think the team we were playing were about 70 for 7 or something like that. So I was just tossing a few really sort of moon balls up to try and get them up to a few more. So we had a few more to chase. And in successive balls, I had a caught at long on, caught at long off, and then the number 11 stormed in, absolutely furious. And he was really chuntering about the fact that his 2 teammates had got out to this awful bowling, and he was like, I am not getting out to this. And he plonked his foot down the wicket and I'd left the entire field out and brought one sort of silly mid-off in as a token, because all I was doing was lobbing it out, and he just plonked his foot down to play this massive forward defensive and just patted it straight to the silly mid-off. I think that's probably my biggest ever celebration on a cricket pitch. I did about 4 laps. I was like, I was completely off. So
one of my biggest celebrations was that club game. Do you remember we were losing terribly, and then it all just turned on it, and I think they needed about 30 odd, didn't they? And they were for 2, and they just crumbled in. We had everyone around the bat at the end. Van der Grobler took a great catch, short mid-wicket or whatever it was.
Was that the one where I released your sledging?
Yes.
Was that the game? So we played in quite a friendly league where, we were definitely one of the sort of friendlier clubs anyway. And Gareth was always saying to me, let me have a bit of a sledge. And I was like, that's not how we play the game. Come on, we're above it. And this game, it was like, oh God, they're absolutely caning us. Just start sledging them, and it worked. they collapsed in a heap of South African sledging.
I think my first sledge to the number 4 when he edged it over the slips was, my God, you were shit. And there wasn't even clever. There was nothing smart about it. It was you were shit. And he smiled at me and nicked off, I think, a couple of balls later, and that's when the crumble began. So that was my only contribution in the field for the whole time in the offsides. Was one game of sledge.
You're shit, and you know you are.
And Johnny Mellon apologising to me every time he bowled a ranked long up, and the guy hit it at me because I was sledging. So, but it was good fun. How we laughed. So, what's the
final
last question? Let's
final
wrap it up.
question. Have you ever bowled a ball to your cricketing hero? Well, I guess been bowled at by your cricketing hero. Have you ever thrown anything at your cricketing hero?
I once kept wicket in a game where the umpire was Robin Smith.
That's cool.
And I was really young, and I'd never really kept wicket before, and I think I took one down the leg side, and from the standing umpire, he sort of went, "Oh, good take, keeps," and I was like, oh, I need to become a wicket keeper. And I tried for about 10 years as a 6'4" wicket keeper to just follow on what Robin Smith had laid out for me, but turns out I was shit.
On that bombshell.
on that bombshell. Well, I mean, this is good. We should do one of these each week for like a different sport. So we'll try and come up with one of these for football next week.
Great idea, Ollie.
Yeah, really good.
Great idea.
I haven't stolen that from. I'm not sure
That's why they call you the ideas man.
It's not what they call me on Grindr.
Sorry, it's the ideal man. That's what they call you.
Mr. Maximum.
Mr.
Maximum.
Just on the one last thing on Mr. Maximum, I saw hashtag RIP Willie was trending today, which I thought I didn't want to click on it in case, as well as the tributes to Mr. Maximum, there were also a number of stories about gentlemen getting themselves caught in their zip.
Right. I mean,
Can we just end there? Let's just end.
wrap up there. There's nothing more to be said.
Have a good week, people. Have a good week. Oh my God, it's too much.
All right, guys. Take care. See you next week. Go well. Bye.